This is Andrew Catalan saying so long from Miami. Now it's time for the State Farm postgame show. After a 13-6 Dolphins win, we send it to James Brown in New York.
All right, folks, so we take you now to the contest. Pittsburgh at Baltimore, 150 left in regulation. Pittsburgh up 23-16. 3 meetings by these squads decided by 3 or less since 08. Let's join the announcers there. Ian Eagle, Dan Fouts, and Evan Washburn.
He had a head of steam, but he...
CBS Sports presents the Geico Play of the Day.
In Carolina, Cam Newton pitches to DJ Moore, who pitches to Curtis Samuel. Samuel runs, races, dashes, slashes, slants, avoids tackler after tackler, zigs, zags, and sprints his way 33 yards to pay dirt. An eye for the creative makes this play work.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. This is the State Farm postgame show.
And welcome back inside Studio 43 and the State Farm postgame show. And a reminder, up next on CBS, it is the CBS Sports Spectacular, Courage in Sports, which focuses on the most inspiring and extraordinary stories in sports. That's coming up next right here on CBS as we welcome you back inside with the full house here, Coach Nate, Boomer, and Phil. I'm James Brown. We take you right to the highlights.
Well, down in Baltimore, big AFC North matchup. Pittsburgh visiting them, and Baltimore won the first game. And right here, Ben gets him off to a good start. He's going to dump the ball right there to James Conner, who had another productive day, 107 yards rushing, 56 receiving, that touchdown there. And Antonio Brown, he had two touchdown passes from Ben, one to him there. That's his 6th straight game with a touchdown. And then Ben Roethlisberger will take it over for the quarterback sneak. And again, it was a game dominated right there. You can see the frustration with Coach Harbaugh. Again, the difference in this game has been the inability for Baltimore to score in the red zone. Pittsburgh's ability to finish the drives really was the difference in this game.
All right, so it was revenge for the Steelers. Ben with 2 touchdowns in that one. And after the game, it was our Evan Washburn talking with Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, Ben, let's start with how you feeling? Because you came into this one a little nicked up, and I saw you take that hit. 290 pounds on anybody is going to leave a mark. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I thought I was dead for a second. I mean, luckily it was just the wind. But yeah, it's a big guy landing on you. Just had to take a quick breather, but I'm all right. I feel like a typical Steelers-Ravens post-game. Just glad we got the win.
Let's talk about the way this offense played, whether it was time of possession or third down. Right. The numbers were pretty impressive. Of the 4 games you guys have won in a row here, how does this performance stack up in your mind?
And, you know, any AFC North football game is awesome, but we got to come here, at their place, hostile environment. A lot of respect for these fans. This is one of the loudest places I ever played. And, we came out and we executed. That drive in the start of the second half was huge. 16 plays, I heard, and a lot of third down conversions against the #1 defense in the world. So it feels pretty good.
Lastly, this is unique to finish your Ravens series this early in the season. The meaning of this one when you put it in context for where you guys are in the division.
Well, it means a lot because they got us the first time at home, so we were able to come here and get this one. We got a long season ahead, and it's a short week, so we'll go get some ice on our bumps and bruises and get ready.
Yeah, catch your breath, man.
I know, right?
Thanks, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Good to see you, man.
All right, so as mentioned, 4th straight win. James Conner again, 4th straight game with 100 yards or more rushing. He got it done. Bill, you know all about the series here. Talk about what Ben was speaking to.
Well, I think I talked about before. The biggest thing in this thing was turnovers, and neither team turned it over. So then you go to the other part of it, which I think is situational football, which is converting third downs and scoring in the red zone. I think Pittsburgh dominated both those elements of it. They were able to score, particularly early in the game, finish your drives, where Baltimore had to settle for the field goals. Therein lies of playing catch-up. But we talked about this all day, guys. The offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers gave Ben so much time, and they're running the football, their pass protection, everything. Really, he got the one hit late in the game, but bro, he was pretty much untouched most of the game.
Well, he got hit because he ran out of the pocket, but I'll just say this. I think Dan Fouts said it right about Ben Roethlisberger, especially when he took the sack late in the game to leave the clock running as opposed to throwing it out. That just shows you a guy that understands situational football and the clock and all that other stuff. I would say on the other side, the Ravens are one of the oldest teams in football. They just got beat at home. They're in the midst of this losing streak. They've lost, I think, four out of their last 5, 3 in a row now. They've lost to 3 good teams. But, you know, this is a team that is all in for this year. They spent a lot of money on the offensive side of the football. I know they were missing some of their offensive tackles today. But at the end of the day, I think Steve Bisciotti is going to have to sit down and they're going to have to discuss what they want to be moving forward. Because I'll tell you right now, to me, to have that happen in their building today says a lot about the Steelers for sure, but it also says a lot about who the Ravens are.
Yeah, speaking of what you want to be, the Steelers know exactly who they are. When it comes to games like this, specifically these two squads, it's about defense and running the ball. And they did just that. James Conner, I can't speak on this young man enough. He's doing everything that he needs to do, running in between the tackles, catching out of the backfield. You'll see just a little bit of it. I mean, he has the ability to run up and down, north and south, just like Le'Veon Wood. Right there, you see the vision. And then you're going to see him catching out of the backfield. You see this flat route underneath that line, and that's the pass catching, and also the aggressiveness running over the defender. Here we are. How about the patience, though? We asked Le'Veon to do this every single game, and he does. We asked James to do the same thing. You see the patience. What about when Big Ben gets outside the pocket and he has to ad-lib a little bit? That's just like Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, seeing their quarterback escape outside the pocket, and now you run a secondary route on top of your first one. So as much as I would love to credit Big Ben, that offensive line, Antonio Brown, Juju, I feel like the foundation of this offense is James Conner, and he is taking advantage of a situation where we're not asking when is Le'Veon Bell coming back. We're asking how long can he keep this up because he's playing like a
Is he
football.
coming back, though? Does anybody know?
I think at this point, to be honest with you, if you're a player within that locker room, you don't care. That's how good James Conner is.
I think my big question is, when's James Conner going to have a bad game? I mean,
right.
We sit up here, it's like a broken record for us talking about it. But, you know, I think the disappointing thing, Boomer, you bring up a lot of good points. The fact that Baltimore, which I bragged about before, you can't run at them. Well, the Steelers just ran at them. If that's the strength of your football team and it gets beaten, that's a big thing. And then, Bill, you talk about the red zone. The Steelers, they have more talent on offense than Baltimore does, but they're more creative down inside. And we watch Baltimore when they get in the red zone, it's like, wow, it is Joe Flacco make a throw. There's never anything to it. He did miss Lamar Jackson at one time. That's a big deal. And the pass protection, no speed rush by the Baltimore Ravens. They don't have a speed rusher. That showed up in every game. Ben Roethlisberger got sacked one time, but that's because he took the sack to keep the clock moving. So their offensive line, their pass protection, to me, that's the cornerstone of their football team because they can win just on throwing the football.
And that's not take away from the defense because really the Pittsburgh defense, the last 3 weeks before this game had given up an average of 19 points a game. They go in there and give up 16 to Baltimore in this game. And we talked about it. They get stingy around the red zone. I go back to that because I really think the difference in games and winning these games is your ability to finish drives and your ability to stop a team. They can drive all the way down, and I'll tell you, sometimes they walk out of there with a field goal. You're coming off going, okay, we're okay. You weathered the storm. They got some big plays, but you kept them to 3. With our offense, you keep them to 3, that's like a win. Yeah. So the defense has been complementing the offense and vice versa.
Speed. The one thing the Steelers got, they got enough speed on defense, and you're right. I like the way they play because they know their offense is going to play pretty well.
So one of the big questions we had about Kansas City going into the season and even up to this point is, could they sustain what they've been doing? They are now 8-1.
Yeah.
First time since 1995.
You want to see some speed? Well, you know, the traveling circus known as the offense that is the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they just keep rolling along. 500 total yards today. And here comes Kareem Hunt. This is the first touchdown of the day for Kansas City. He had 3 on the day, 7-0 Kansas City. How about Baker Mayfield? He did okay. You know, this is the team, obviously, again, in transition. But they do have some good players, just like Duke Johnson right there and Baker Mayfield. But watch this. Look left, hold the safety, fire a seed.
Helmet or higher in the red zone.
It's just a little higher because only your guy can go make the play. They win 37-21, and I'm telling you right now, Patrick Mahomes is locked in. Another 3-touchdown day.
Kareem Hunt, not a bad performance as well, too. 91 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. But it was, as Boomer says, Patrick Mahomes, and after the game, it was Melanie Collins talking with Mr. Mahomes.
Oh.
Patrick, congratulations on the win. 8 straight games of over 300 yards passing for you. You know, I was talking to your dad on the sideline before the game, and he said, I knew Patrick would make plays, but I never expected this. How are you maintaining this pace?
Yeah, I mean, it's about sticking with the process. We have a lot of great players in our team. Offensive line's blocking really well, and I'm getting the ball out of my hands. I mean, it really is a testament to those guys. I mean, they're making plays, it seems like, every single week.
You knew coming into this game that you'd be facing a Cleveland team that had been through some turmoil this week. How were you able to avoid that false sense of security? What was the mindset?
I mean, when you watch these guys on tape, I mean, they have a ton of talent everywhere. You know that they were 2 or 3 games away from being 5-2 or whatever it is, and you know that they're going to compete and they're going to come out here and fight, and they did today. And luckily, we came out on top.
2 touchdowns for both Cleveland guys, Travis Kelce and Kareem Hunt. What can you say about the impact those guys had today in front of their home crowd?
Yeah, I mean, I knew them coming back home, they were going to play with that sense of passion that I haven't seen yet. And for them to get out there and make plays back home, I'm glad for them, and I'm glad that their family could see it.
Pat, thanks. Good luck against Arizona next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, as much as we love Brady, Breeze, and Rivers, this is a young man's game, and Patrick Mahomes still shining. 23 for 32, 374, the 3 TDs. He did have that interceptions, which us kind of shocked everybody here at the table.
Just goes to show you they still believe him late in the half to try to go get points, and they forced him in and thrown.
But one constant after the game, as has been the case most of this season, a jubilant locker room.
How about those Chiefs? All right, man, huh? All right, so listen, hey, nice job. Those guys that are banged up, man, let's get fixed, right? Let's get fixed, get in, get your treatment, get done what you need to get done, and then we're rolling from there.
Hey, man, good win on the road, man. That's the way to fight, man. Chiefs on 3, 1, 2, 3.
And for Phil, I have this visual locked in my head. What did you say Andy Reid does on the bench with Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I don't want to do it. I did it last week, but we all got a vision of it today. Andy Reid went over there and sat next to him, and I swear his eyes flutter when he looks at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, but you know what I love about
for the person who wasn't here last week,
Phil
Phil
he's
says,
like, oh, how you doing? He loves, hey, listen, the guy has been spectacular. I keep waiting for the fall to come for the Chiefs offense. Now I know it's not going to come. But here's what I like. The overall picture, their team fits. They're explosive on offense, and how do they play defense? They don't sit back there and let you nickel dime them. They're going to be aggressive. So that way, if you beat us quick and get our strength of our team back on there. That way they don't get into those slow down, stall games that could hurt their offense.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I know a lot of concerns. We talk about this defense. We saw the Cleveland Browns move it up and down, Baker Mayfield doing that. But, you know, again, it does complement the offense. I mean, you sit there and look at it, and they do get some big plays. And they'll get the sack. And all of a sudden they're going to get a turnover, and they're going to make you have to throw pinpoint passes. And so they may give up some big plays, they may give up some yardage, but it does complement this offense. I do believe home field is very, very critical for this team.
That's the key.
And they still have a 1-game lead over the Patriots, but Patriots did beat them. So, I mean, you keep watching that right now, and that is, I think, again, huge when we get to the playoffs.
That short clip of them in the locker room says a lot to me. Because in the beginning of the season, when they win a game, how about them Chiefs? And everybody would go crazy because there was a little bit of mystery behind how hot they really were. Now, all of a sudden, they get in that locker room after winners. How about those Chiefs?
Andy.
And it's because they expect to win. Yep. That's a different type of team. In the beginning of the season, I think they were a little bit shocked, just like we all were. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden, halfway through the year, this Chiefs team is walking into every week saying, we are the best team in football, and we're going to prove that week in and week out.
Let's talk about the diversity of the Chiefs offense here for a second to show you some highlights from what we saw today to show you how diverse they really are. You know, next week, by the way, they have the Cardinals in that big showdown on Monday night against the Rams down in Mexico City. So look at this. I mean, Kareem Hunt's ridiculous, right? He had 3 touchdowns today. This young man, he also can be considered Offensive Player of the Year. But how about Tyreek Hill? Here's the speed. Look at the arm. Look at the touch pass. Watch this one now down the sideline. That's Sammy Watkins. And here comes Travis Kelce. And that is a seed right in the middle of the field. You can't put the ball in a better place to allow your guy to go make a play. And look at Kareem Hunt. 17 rushes today, 91 yards. He had the 50 receiving yard you saw there, and 3 total TDs.
So let me ask, you and Bill were saying the same thing about at home. I get that, where they play it. But given the attitude and the confidence that Nate was alluding to, would these guys feel confident on the road as well, the way they're playing right now?
I think their offense is going to feel confident no matter where they play. But their defense will get a great boost from that Arrowhead crowd. And can you imagine? Could you just imagine? You know, the Patriots and the Brady going in there, or Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers going in there at a huge playoff game, an AFC Championship game, if you will. How that defense will be a little bit different there than it would be if they have to go on the road to Pittsburgh or to New England.
It's a fun offense to run, to watch. And I'll tell you the other thing about it, with all the things that they do. And as we saw the one interception, they don't turn the football over. They don't beat themselves. And I think that's the one thing about an offense like that that impresses me, is with all the diversity that they have and the weapons they have, their ability to still play focused, smart football. You know, outside, like you said, at the end of the first half, maybe got a little bit greedy there. Mahomes did, but. You know, wow, I tell you what, it's been impressive first half of this season. You talk about it and the sustainability. Let's see if they can do it.
There's a lot of ways to move the football with their offense. So they don't count on one person each week. That's one thing. They don't turn it over, Coach, because everybody's wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, there they are. He doesn't really throw into a crowd too much. Travis Kelce, I kind of laughed. I mean, Travis Kelce's the big guy in the middle. He's the center. So what do you throw it to him? Because when he's covered, he's still open. Like we saw today, he can still go up and make those catches.
Yeah, that's why you threw 4 interceptions in a game. When he's covered, he's still open.
He's still open.
Yeah. Yes. Therein lies the problem with you, Phil.
And that's it. You know, we're watching some of these offenses in the NFL, and we can see that they lack creativity. It'd be easy for Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid to go into each week and saying, I have a versatile running back, I have one of the best wide receivers in Watkins and Hill, and I have a tight end who runs like a wide receiver. Let me just run a very basic offense. They don't do that. Still, with that talent, they're very creative pre-snap. They make the job easier for Pat Mahomes, which is why this team is so impressive. So along with their talent, they also can win with the game plan.
Going back to Bill Cowher separating the season into 3 parts, he says this is the navigation of the murky part of the season, if you will. Right now, it's smooth sailing so far for Kansas City.
You know, I'd like to see let them get a little uncomfortable. It might not be too bad for them to go into playoffs.
Uncomfortable. What's that thought again about being uncomfortable?
You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
I love it. All right. Let's get a little update here from Phil.
Well, here we go. Out in Denver, Deshaun Watson, 7-yard pass to Thomas. Here it comes. The 3rd touchdown in 2 weeks for him. And nice catch over the top. 7-0 early Houston Texans over the Denver Broncos.
And here we go. And how about this game right here? We have the Chargers in Seattle. Seattle trying to jump on these guys early. Russell Wilson dropping back. He has a little bit of time, and if you give him that much time, he's going to hit somebody. Back of the end zone, helmet or higher. That was a lot of time. You're right about there. That was Jerron Brown, 10-yard TD. Seattle Seahawks up 7-0 over those Chargers.
It came off a play action, which means he must have been running the ball.
You know, all I can tell you is that I would die for time like that.
You can still play with time like that.
Here.
Yeah, well, Philly, it's all our time up here. That's why.
The State Farm postgame show continues after this.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
And welcome back to Studio 43 and the State Farm postgame show as we take you right back to the highlights.
All right, let's get some highlights. 2 of my former teams, Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings. And here's Kirk Cousins. I got a feeling he will get the touchdown, but he would not get 100 yards in this game. That's breaking his 8-game streak. He would have had 9. That would have been an NFL record. But here we go. Danielle Hunter. He gets after Matt Stafford, and he picks up the ball after a failed toss to Kerryon Johnson, who fumbles it. And that is a TD right there to the house. And still, Danielle Hunter is not done. The Vikings would have 10 sacks on the day. That is a franchise record. They got after the Lions on offense and on defense, and they win this one 24-9. Kirk Cousins still rolling, 18 for 22, 164 yards. And here we go, Chicago and Buffalo. With some teams struggling, that wasn't the case with Chicago. They were all over Buffalo on this one. Check this out. Nathan Peterman, the ball is tipped and intercepted. Leonard Floyd takes this back 18 yards for the TD. And still, the troubles continue for Nathan Peterman. But how about this tough running right there? Jordan Howard, 18-yard run. That was second of the day. Here's Trey Burton, the new addition for Mitch Trubisky. It was an all-out Bears game, offense, defense, and they were all over the Bills in this one. They are 5-3, and how about those Bears? They win 41-9.
Yeah, good win for the Bears. Here, let's go down to Miami and New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. There's our man, Joe, named it before the game. Sam Darnold gets the meeting. Sam Darnold has this pass intercepted by Kiko Alonso. He takes it down the field, and here another throw by Sam Darnold. Looks like his hand might have got hit. Jerome Baker intercepted, takes it 25 yards for a touchdown and put Miami up 13-3. And Miami did it with their defense today, winning the game 13-6. Sam Darnold, 229 yards, 4 interceptions. Brock Osweiler didn't do much, but he did not turn the football over.
And here we go. How about an instant update? The Chargers in Seattle. Russell Wilson scored earlier, hitting Jerron Brown and Rivers, saying, I got you. How about this dime? Back shoulder ball. Tyrell Williams this is a touchdown. That man is about to get paid this offseason. They would miss the extra point. Seattle leads this one 7-6.
So with that in mind, Coach, let's take a look at the NFC picture and see what your thoughts are as you look at the graphic here.
Well, you look at the NFC North, I think, again, you know, Minnesota, to me, is still the team to beat. I think when you look at their situation, I just think they have the most complete team. I think Kirk Cousins has had a solid year running game, and that defense is special. When you talk about the set of receivers, they played today with Ott, Diggs. You know, the only thing it's hard for me to ever discount is Aaron Rodgers. There's something about him, and as long as he's got the healthy, I like the Green Bay team. We're going to have a chance to see them tonight playing against the New England Patriots. Young on defense in the secondary, young receivers to complement it. And there's something about him bringing this whole group together. They're going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, there's something about Aaron Rodgers and that Packers team with that record. And the season may be slipping away from them. They can't afford to lose too many games. And, of course, I feel the same way when it comes to the Vikings. But we can't discredit what the Bears are doing.
No.
I mean, it seems like finally Matt Nagy and that offense is starting to take shape a little bit. Defense starting to make plays for that young quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky. But if they can continue this could be a team that sneaks up on people. Because, Coach, you know, sometimes some of these young teams, they don't know what they don't know.
No.
So right now they're playing with a lot of momentum and getting wins, and that record speaks for itself.
Yeah, I just think this speaks to Everson Griffin coming back for the Vikings now and everything. Their team probably feels pretty whole about all that defensively. This is one of their better defensive performances of the year. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys, Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy, where were they before they were head coaches? They were the offensive coordinators for Kansas City, right?
Kansas City
Who's the offensive coordinator for Kansas City right now?
Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy.
Maybe Cleveland, maybe, and Baker Mayfield. You know,
here we go.
But anyway, I would think that would make sense. But here's the thing about this NFC North thing. It is Aaron Rodgers' division. I'm telling you, there's something special about him second half of the season, going through Lambeau, the cold weather. He always raises his level of play.
Yeah.
I don't suspect that they'll win tonight. I know you got them winning tonight against the Patriots, but I picked the Patriots. I think it's going to be a high-scoring, close game. But I will not count him out. He will keep them in it all the way until the last week of the season.
No, it's like the Patriots. You know, Aaron Rodgers is like the Patriots. We never count them out no matter what the situation is. The Minnesota Vikings, when you look at them, the one thing I love about their football team, they have a lot of players that can make a play to win the game. Yeah. They got some stars. I just don't think they have that meat of the team that you'd want to see. Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook had a good game today running the football, so that's big. Maybe that'll help the offensive line out because Kirk Cousins, watching all the games this year, nobody throws more quality passes down the field while he's getting hit or under pressure than him. And I don't know why people don't appreciate him more than they do. They just say, he lost another game. Hey, I think he's winning games. This team wouldn't be where it is if he was not their quarterback.
I absolutely agree with you, Phil. I think this guy has gone underrated in terms of talking about stepping up into a pocket, taking a hit. He's been pinpoint accurate. But let's not forget what this defense has done in this front seven. As you mentioned, Boom, getting Everson Griffin back. But Danielle Hunter, what a day he has had. Danielle Hunter had 3.5 sacks. He also returned a fumble recovery for a touchdown. You can see the games. You can see the activity. Tom Johnson up front. Everson Griffin up front. This is a bunch of guys that are active. They're athletic. And you can look on the back end because the one thing about a lot of these is you can see right here, these sacks, they are coverage sacks.
They're rushing four.
They're rushing four. And you're talking about a back end that has worked very well together. Yeah. Harrison Smith and company in that back end. I'm telling you, it's a very, very good defense. An offense the other day, like you're talking about with Kirk Cousins, his accuracy, they don't turn the ball over very often, you know, and that's a tough place to play when you go to Minnesota. That's one of your ex-teams, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You know how many ex-teams you have?
Half the league.
Okay, that's fine. They're
so good they passed you around.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny because last year when we were talking about Case Keenum and what he was doing with this offense, it was always backed by the fact that he had a good defense. And they were making plays for him and putting this offense in position. And you guys are right. With the way that Kirk Cousins is throwing that ball, if this defense can start to pick up where they left off last year, this could be one of those teams that starts to separate themselves from the pack in November and December.
There is a big one taking place in Nolans. Boomer, instant update.
That's right. Take a look at Alvin Kamara. He's going to come out of the backfield, and he is going to go for an 11-yard touchdown run around the left side, right side of that Rams defense, in for the touchdown. They take a 7-0 lead. Rams driving right now around their 35-yard line as the Saints get off to a great start here today against the undefeated L.A. Rams. And, the one thing, guys, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the Jets and the Dolphins quickly.
Right, go ahead.
The Dolphins had 168 yards of total offense and only 7 first downs, okay? Sam Darnold, to me, looks like he's spooked. He looks like a rookie who is spooked, who is actually regressing as the season goes on. I don't think they're helping him early in games or not getting him easy completions that we often talk about. And I think he has really been stunted from that aspect, Phil.
Well, you know what happens to a young quarterback. The old saying is, you got to go to hell before you can go to heaven. And he's right now in that really tough spot where it's mentally grinding. The team is not real sharp. The wide receiving core is struggling. I don't think the play selection really helps him out a lot. He doesn't get enough easy throws. And Boomer, it's such a grind. You know it. And now it's a mental grind. And that fatigues you physically. So I think he's in a really tough spot here. He needs help from the coaches, from his teammates. And it might be time sooner or later to give him maybe
just
a little
give him a break, And the one
break.
thing, I felt like he was like a soccer goalie there for about 3.5 quarters as the snaps were all over the place.
Well, that too.
Because Spencer Long had a broken finger, and the snaps were all, and I give Long a lot of credit for staying on the field and everything. I mean, he had a lot of things going on today. I don't want to make any excuses, but to me, it just looks like he's fatigued mentally and he's spooked physically.
Dial it down, get back to the running game. It takes him the pressure off him as a quarterback.
So we're going to have a theological discussion with Phil afterwards. I'm glad one doesn't have to go to smoking before they go to non-smoking.
Well, that was Terry Bradshaw that taught me that.
There's more to come on the State Farm postgame show after this.
Let's light it up.
Join us on Saturday for an SEC on CBS doubleheader. First, Ole Miss takes on Texas A&M at noon Eastern. That'll be followed by a top 25 matchup featuring Mississippi State at top-ranked and undefeated Alabama. It all comes your way Saturday, beginning at noon Eastern right here on CBS. As we welcome you back to the State Farm postgame show, we continue with our instant update.
Jimmy, I love when two great teams get together, and right here, Todd Gurley's going to go around the right side of his offense, left side of the Saints defense, in for a touchdown for 8 yards, I believe that looked like. And that score is now tied 7-7 as Jared Goff and Drew Brees lead their teams back and forth. It's going to be an awesome game here today.
Yeah, it's going to be. Last home the ball might win. Atlanta Falcons at the Washington Redskins. Here we go. Matt Ryan to Tevin Coleman, and he takes that screen pass. Oh, I love these kind of touchdown throws. 39 yards for a touchdown, 7-0 Atlanta. Matt Ryan, who's had a great year this year, passes to Calvin Ridley as he splits the defense, runs down the field for a 40-yard touchdown, 21-7. And then here we go finally. Matt Ryan passes to Julio Jones, and he runs and scores on a 35-yard touchdown catch. Finally is right. 38-14, the Atlanta Falcons win. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan all had big games. Tevin Coleman, you see the catches. Alex Smith, solid game, but too many injuries for the Washington Redskins.
I want you to watch this play. It starts at the 33-yard line, okay? Curtis Samuel gets the ball at the 45. Now you're going to see the blocks, right, that take place.
He's at the 20.
Now it's going to go back across. Now it's 60, 70 yards. I've run 72. I got to make more people miss. I may have to give it a little more ground, and then I go 107 yards for a 33-yard run. That kind of set the tone for the day right there. And you can see Fitzmagic came in back. Will he do it again? 4 touchdown passes on the day. Adam Humphries. But in the end, it was too much Carolina, too much Cam Newton. Here he's going to find Curtis Samuel once again. Greg Olsen caught a touchdown pass as well, 2 for Cam Newton. McCaffrey, 2 rushing touchdowns. And it was all, again, the Carolina Panthers. A little bit of a scare there late in Tampa Bay, but they prevailed 42-28.
So, Nate, let's take the spotlight and take a look at the NFC South and give me your thoughts on what you see in that division.
Well, when you look at the Panthers, I mean, watch out now. These guys are 6-2. And I remember last year going into the season and Cam Newton didn't say anything, but we all kind of knew he was a little banged up, didn't catch his rhythm until the middle of the season. And now with the guys that he have around him, the skilled players, Christian McCaffrey, of course, Greg Olsen looking phenomenal in the red zone. He's unstoppable. And then Curtis Samuel. I remember talking to him before the draft. He was on our show, and I said, so what position are you? You played a little bit of everything in college. He paused for a second and said, I'm a baller.
Yeah, that's right.
Brooklyn baller. So,
Yes,
and I
he
believe
is.
it because he can do it all. And oftentimes you get these guys that have been playing one position their whole life, and they can't do that. Now you got to have a guy as versatile as him, reverses, have him run routes. He can do just about everything, which for Cam Newton, it's heaven.
You know, the thing about them, too, now they're on a short week, right? So they have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh this coming Thursday night. That's a huge game, and it should be a good game, hopefully, for a Thursday night game. And then when you think about Atlanta now, so Atlanta all of a sudden had their best game of the year. And it was on the road against a Redskin team that was in first place in the NFC East. So that Redskin loss is huge for the Cowboys and huge for the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are off this week. Cowboys play tomorrow night against the Titans. So that's big in that division. Now, on this other side here, you have New Orleans playing the Rams right now. So this division probably or could actually send 3 teams to the playoffs.
No question, Atlanta, yeah.
Right, and that's how good they are. If Atlanta's going to play like they played today, offensively and defensively, watch out for them to make a second-half run here, the back half of the season.
No matter how we set Coach up, when we talk about where we are right now, Coach continues to say, let it play out. Still a lot more to go.
There is a lot more to go to talk about.
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely. We don't know. Trying to predict games is impossible to do, as I found out. That's for sure. But, you know, you talk about the Carolina Panthers, double reverse. That's a Norv Turner special. He loves reverses. And I said it last week, just to refresh it one more time. First off, Cam Newton's playing great. But all the weapons you talked about, how they're using them all, and what he tries to do, especially when you are emotional on the other side, he will run a reverse because he knows that'll stop it, and he takes advantage of the other team being emotional. So I'm say one more time, I'm a little surprised at how creative Norv has been, because I've seen his offense for 20-some years in the NFL, and I had it pretty locked down. And the one I see down there in Carolina is not the one I've seen for all those previous years.
That's good to see that he is growing.
He's growing and evolving, no question.
Instant update, Nate.
Yeah, we sure do. Let's go to Seattle. Chargers answering back touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. 34-yard run right here. Melvin Gordon, there was a flag, but it was on the defense. How about Melvin Gordon? I feel like we don't talk about him enough. He's going to have himself a day. This could be the most entertaining game of the week. The two-point conversion was no good, but the Chargers do take the lead 12-7.
He looks like Todd Gurley.
He looks fast, doesn't he?
It's the same guy. Just one's got longer hair.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Chargers, what was their biggest thing a year ago? Field goal kicking. How many games they lost at the end of a game? And now we're sitting there looking at a game that could be 14-7.
Right.
It's 12-7 because you're trying to chase that extra point. You go for 2. Now you've lost another point. And so it's just, you know, I just feel for the LA Chargers because it feels like there's always that one element that still is there.
If you're the kicker for the Chargers, you just get tight. That's man. It's just part of what goes on out.
What gets tight?
Everything.
The wisdom of Phil Simms as the State Farm postgame show continues.
Oh, God.
This is the State Farm postgame show.
And welcome back inside Studio 43 and the State Farm postgame show. And a reminder, next Sunday, our Super Bowl season continues with doubleheader action in Week 10 early. Many will see Tom Brady and the Patriots against the Titans. Then it's an NFC West showdown. The Seahawks taking on the Rams. That is our featured matchup. And it all begins with the NFL Today at noon Eastern right here on CBS. And we are thrilled to have at the desk our NFL Today insider. That would be Mr. Lock and Forward.
Well, it took 7 years. There's not a trap door here for Boomer, is there? I was a little worried about that.
Do a little of this stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever works. Oh, yep. I might have just blown out a hamstring.
There you go.
That's great. That's this is more like it. I'm used to it.
Yes.
You guys were talking a little bit about the game tonight, the Sunday night game. We've got Tennessee, New England next week. I wouldn't be surprised if Gronk doesn't play in that game either. People are talking about the ankle. It's the back that they're really worried about there. I don't think he'll play tonight. They've got the bye after that Tennessee game. Could be some extended rest for Gronk. The good news, though, for the Pats is Sony Michel. I don't know if he's going to go. He can't keep a straight face over here. I don't know if he's going to go tonight or not. It'll be a game-time decision. But by next week, they expect him to be back. So he's on the cusp, and we saw what that run game was like with him.
So Pats, rest the guys. That's what we're saying.
Gronk
Boomer's
needs to rest.
speechless.
You watched him play last week. He looked like he was not well and was running like it hurt to run. So he needs to rest. And sorry. And you know what? We're
Anything for a laugh.
I know we are, but you know what? if we get a visit from the executive control room to come out here and talk about it, I had nothing to do with it. I've been
it's his first time at the Big Ten.
Oh, no,
I just wanted to make sure that
he's breaking me in. He's breaking me in.
The one thing, the matchup, the reason I like the matchup tonight for the Green Bay Packers, I just say this, is Aaron Jones has given them a running game, and I think it's taken the pressure off of Aaron Rodgers. And then you look at the pass rush, the lack thereof from the New England Patriots.
Right.
I think it just bodes really well for Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't, you got to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. No one sees the field like he does, and Tom Brady. This is only the second time I believe these two guys have met. And I think it's one of the great matchups. You're seeing two of the all-time great quarterbacks playing the game, and won't be surprised to see them watching each other, competing against each other.
Oh, this is personal, Bill. Come on. I know I did that first game up there, and it was as emotional game as I did. When New England went up to Green Bay and played, it was a great game. And Aaron Rodgers, New England can't really pressure anybody. There's no way that with Green Bay's offensive line, he gets rid of the ball quick, he can move around, and he's going to have time to make some plays.
I liked your professionalism in delivering your report, despite him putting you in the little kid seat right now. Jason, thank you so much. The State Farm postgame show continues after this. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and the biggest waves ever to be ridden. That'll be followed by new episodes, NCIS Los Angeles, and of course, Madam Secretary, and of course, God Friend to Me is in the mix as well. That's tonight only on CBS. Boom.
All right, JB, down in New Orleans, how about Drew Brees? He's 7 of 8 already today. This time he's going to find Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. That's the second touchdown for Kamara today. They now lead 14-7. Back and forth they go, and you can see the numbers right there. Pretty impressive start for Drew Brees in this game.
It sure is. I'll tell you another good start. Look out there in Denver, Deshaun Watson. 16 yards of DeAndre Hopkins in the end zone, and DeAndre Hopkins, he can get tough, get open. The extra point is no good. Houston 13-3 over the Denver Broncos.
All right, so we will swing around the horn, get final thoughts on the early games of the day, starting with Boom A.
I think it was a huge win for Pittsburgh today. I think they really put the foot down and just said, hey, look, man, this is our division. We're going to own it. And I think they have a tough game coming up Thursday against Carolina at home, but an impressive win by that offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought they had an outstanding game against that defensive line of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I still have my eyes on Kansas City. We've seen them battle with some of the best teams in this league, but going up against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, a game that you're supposed to win, Coach. You know all the time you can walk into a locker room and tell your guys, don't fall for the trap. But these guys going out there and winning this one, that says a lot about where they are.
You're starting to see separation right now. You're starting to see some teams who recognize where they are. You start to look at the schedule. And I think even as a coach right now, you start to get to November. When you start to get to November, it's relative football. This is where we are, and right now, you can see some scenarios right now. You're looking 3-game stretches where, you know what, they're going to be so very, very critical games that you're playing. So I think bringing it to the players right now, the reality of where you are, the sense of urgency that needs to be there for some of us is critical.
I looked at first thing, Pittsburgh, you're right. I think when it all comes down together, too much talent, and they're just too tough and hardened to the situation. They're going to be there. Kansas City, I give up. I believe in them. And a big game for the Chargers to join that group if they can go to Seattle and win.
That does it for us on the NFL Today post-game show. We will step aside and let you know we'll see you next week right here on
CBS